Down in Louisiana, where the black trees grow, lives a voodoo lady named Marie Laveau. She got a black cat tooth and a mojo bone, and anyone wanna leave her alone. She go gree, another man done and gone. She live in a swamp in a hollow log, the one-eyed snake and a three-legged dog. She got a bent bony body and stringy hair. If I seen you messing around there, she go gree, another man done gone. And then one night when the moon was black, into the swamp came Handsome Jack, no good man like all you know, and he was a-looking around for Marie Laveau. He said, "Marie Laveau, you lovely witch, why don't you come and give me a little charm that'll make me rich? Give me $1 million and I'll tell you what I'll do. This is the very night I'm gonna marry you, and I'll be, another man done gone." Marie did some magic, and she shook a little sand, made $1 million, and she put it in his hand. Then she looked and she said, hey, I'm getting ready for my wedding day. But old Handsome Jack said, "Goodbye, Marie, you damn ugly for a man like me." So Marie started shaking, her fangs started gnashing, her body started shaking, and her eyes grifted flashing. She went gree and done. So if you ever get down where the black tree grow and meet a voodoo lady named Marie Laveau, and if she ever asks you to make her your wife, man, you better stay with her for the rest of your life, or it'll be a gree, another man done gone. Bonjour and benez-vous. Je m'appelle Ryan Mckern, and welcome to a very special episode of the Wicked Webs We Weave podcast. Episode 13 is a celebration, a magical number to my heart and many. Don't be scared of it, for it has luck plenty. Tonight, we offer a celebration to the voodoo queen Marie Laveau, a person dear to my heart and many around the world throughout time, the New Orleans queen. My altar's set, the candles are lit. Please join me for a celebration of her life, details and poems, like the poem from Shel Silverstein read earlier. I'll be doing original music in the background as well, going over facts of Marie. And again, this is a celebration, not a complete biography, which I would like to do one day, a complete in-depth. But this will be a taste, a celebration of praise and memoriam. There's also some information of my time working at Marie Laveau's House of Voodoo on Bourbon. That store is, if you go into the St. Louis Ghost episode of my podcast, you can hear a little more about that. I will probably tell a few more stories from that store as well. The altars and Marie's altar specifically, and visitors from all over the world asking about Marie. Her house was just around the corner from that shop as well, where she was born. And of course, the grave's not far. So sit back, grab yourself your favorite beverage, gaze into the flames, kiss the serpent, and praise of Marie Laveau, and welcome to the Wicked Webs We Weave. Special shout out to Sally Ann Glassman, Kalinda Laveau, the Divine Prince, Priestess Miriam, Marie Laveau's House of Voodoo, Voodoo Authentica, Brittany, and to all. There is some confusion regarding Laveau's year of birth. Some documents indicate that she was born in 1794, while other research supports 1801 as the year of her birth. She is said to have been born to an African woman named Marguerite d'Encantel and to Charles Laveau. Marie Laveau married a Creole man from Saint-Domingue, now Haiti. named Jacques Paris. His reported disappearance was later reported dead. Upon his disappearance, Laveau began referring to herself as Widow Paris. After the reported death of her husband, Laveau started a relationship with Jean-Louis Christopher Dominique de Glapion. Together they had several children, some of whom were victims of various yellow fever outbreaks that plagued New Orleans due to the city's poor drainage system. Although Laveau was a committed mother and wife, much of her priority and caretaking was extended to her spiritual children and the general community. Laveau became a hairdresser to create economic stability for herself and her family through the interaction with her black clients who were house servants. She was exposed to personal information about her wealthy white clients who were often sought her counsel. Laveau used this information to give informed counsel to the people who sought advice from her concerning their personal affairs. Many wealthy and political affluent individuals, both white and black, paid Laveau for personal advice, intervention in some situation, and protection against an evil energy that might have been placed against them. Vodou as a religion system is derived from spiritual practices from Dahomey, the historic Western African kingdom located in what is now Benin. Vodou is actually a foreign word that means spirit or deity. Vodou was transported to the United States during the transatlantic slave trade. African religion was brought to New Orleans first by an initial group of enslaved Africans from Western Africa. After the revolution in Saint-Domingue, 1791 to 1804, another wave of African people brought their religion to New Orleans. The Vodou tradition was strengthened and reinforced by the free and enslaved African community of New Orleans. It is important to note that the practice of Vodou in New Orleans is not the purest manifestation of Vodou, as it was known in Dahomey. Also, it is not the same religious system that is observed in Haiti. Side note to this, I am reading this information straight from Brittanica, and although New Orleans Vodou is different, I don't know if pure was the right word they needed, but I digress. I shall not speak on that. I am a practitioner of New Orleans Vodou, and the people I seek after have been initiated in Haiti, and to me there is some very pure love here and practice. Saint-Domingue was isolated, and religious and cultural practices were maintained and sustained. However, in New Orleans, Vodou has had to adhere to strict European laws, codes, and oppression associated with enslavement. Vodou was often under scrutiny by public officials by the law. Nevertheless, Vodou held a strong presence in New Orleans throughout the centuries, and Vodou ceremonies and activities took place at various sites around the city. Vodou in New Orleans consisted of root work, grigri, or juju. People would seek out conjurers or other spiritualists for spiritual intervention or protection in their daily affairs. These favors ranged from those concerning love to political influence. Although most workers used their powers for positive forces, there were some who did not. It was probably the work of a small percentage of people that was sensationalized by people outside of the religion. This aspect of the religion had become known as hoodoo, and is often basis for misconceptions that public society has about voodoo. I am also going to interrupt here for the Brittanica information that I am seeking out as well, and that hoodoo is its own practice, and hoodoo is a magical form of many things, and all the experience I've had from hoodoo have been very positive and blessing. She welcomes the new city, gold and prosper. Seeks for the protection, the truth, the good, ever after. Marie, to you, I pledge my vow to be thus holy in New Orleans now. Said by some to be the granddaughter of a powerful priestess in Saint-Domingue, Laveau reportedly had a familiar background in African spirituality. She was drawn in religion after the death of her mother. Laveau underwent the tutelage of Dr. John Bayot, as well-known Senegalese conjurer, root worker. She did not take long to dominate the culture and society of voodoo in New Orleans. As a queen for several decades, Laveau was mother to many. People sought her advice for marital affairs, domestic disputes, judicial issues, childbearing finances, health, and good luck. Laveau would in turn counsel her practitioners by supplying them with advice or with protective spiritual objects such as candles, powder, and an assortment of other items mixed together to create a grigri. As queen, Laveau predominantly orchestrated rituals at three main sites: her home on St. Anne Street, Congo Square, and Lake Pontchartrain. At her home on St. Anne Street, Laveau would converse with clients who would meet with her regarding any issue they were having. In her backyard, she would also have ceremonies that conjured the spirit of the great zombie, the deity of Dambala, Uedo, who would manifest through a snake. The second major ritualistic space, Congo Square, was a public square that was set aside by city officials as a gathering space for both enslaved and free African people. Laveau would gather her followers here on Sundays to dance and worship. No major ceremonies would take place here, but it was a place of spiritual gathering and rejuvenation for Africans who experienced major oppression and hardships, both on the plantation and as free citizens. The last place of significance within the presidents over by Laveau was Bayou St. John, which is located on the shore of Lake Pontchartrain. It was here that the major ceremonies took place among the initiated in the religion. Laveau would be often accompanied by her king, or second-ranking male officer. Officiates, singing, dancing, drumming, and spirit possession would occur in these gatherings. Curious white people would often sneak into the woods to witness these ceremonies. For sensationalism, they would often report extreme tales of what they witnessed. And as I sit here looking upon the paintings of Marie Laveau and the Veve by my altar, I'm reminded to speak in fact of I am not an expert by any means on this subject. I think you can pretty much do the research or find a plethora of videos on YouTube alone of Marie Laveau, but what I think this celebration and this episode 13 of the Wicked Webs We Weave is to bring apart my personal experiences. And I was even struggling with the notion of what to do for this particular episode. I wanted to cover the subject. I wanted to cover Marie. Obviously, she means so much to me, and this spiritual path that I'm taking, the rhythm, the mystery, but I think the personal experience is what this is about. This is what comes through it, and hopefully it's interesting and inspiring. Now, as everyone knows, there is 3 notorious, but I mean, there's really more than 3 alleged graves, I would say, of Marie Laveau. They're unmarked graves, and you can certainly seek them out and find them. They're not hard to see because of the offerings that are left on the graves and the X's. I would highly implore everybody not to do the markings on the graves themselves, but rather leave her offerings. I've seen everything from, rum to coins, hairbrushes, pretty things, I think. What you would want to give to a queen is what I would offer when visiting her grave. I remember once at St. Louis 1, which is probably, undoubtedly the most famous of her alleged graves. This was back in 2006. Now you have to have a guide to even walk into the place, but we were praying and I was offering, and what I like to do with the Marie graves is just sort of pray and thank her for all she's done for the city and for the world and for all of us. And I remember one person coming up, and there's always a lot of people that will joke and kind of clown on it and not understand it, but he was with a friend who was a believer. I could definitely tell as I was sitting there praying and kneeling by the grave, just sort of in a meditative state. I could hear the friend say, "Why are they leaving all that? There was like oranges and things on the tomb as well." And the friend said, "What do you mean? How can you not believe in that? Look at the food. Look at the apples. Look at the oranges. How come there's no bugs on there? How come nothing is decayed?" And the best response is his friend just said, "I don't have an answer for that." So I always still think about that to this day. There's just some things that are unexplainable, whether you believe it or not. Just things like that. I mean, that totally was a baffling moment to the guy. He's just like, "Whoa, yeah, I guess, I don't know." But I will go further on with this story, and I hope you enjoyed my poem. I did the original poem beforehand. Now, this is also something, too, I'm glad to do this episode, because working at Marie Laveau's House of Voodoo, St. Anne and Bourbon, tons of people would come in. And I guarantee, like, 99% of them were asking questions about American Horror Story. American Horror Story obviously is completely made up fiction. But that's, it's interesting. That brought on a whole new realm of people to find her. We had the altar as well in there for Marie, and things like that stick out to me, of just loving living here, and the particular spiritual and faith that I have, how the city allows that. You can't find that anywhere else in America. During the latter years of her life, Laveau had moved her practices across the Mississippi River to the area of New Orleans known as Algiers. Algiers was the first point of arrival of enslaved African people in New Orleans, and also as the birthplace of voodoo in New Orleans. After Laveau's death in 1881, voodoo in New Orleans lost a great deal of its adherents as more people began assimilating economically and socially. The need to depend on ancient rites and traditions of the old-time religion decreased. Voodoo began taking on new forms, becoming incorporated into other religions. St. Louis Cemetery No. 1 and St. Louis Cemetery No. 2 are among two of the graves yard that is to house one of the alleged tombs of Marie Laveau. Leave a candle, money, flowers, personal items, and speak to Marie from the heart. I know today that seems to be still a small but a great community of New Orleans voodoo running proud. A lot of the misconceptions are due to Hollywood movies, but voodoo itself is just complete, pure energy, pure positivity, making the universe a better place with us in it. Perhaps one day I'll expand into more of a voodoo episode, and specifically my ancestors of the Gede. But for now, I will leave you, and hope you had this great time with me. This journey of this podcast really means the world to me, and thank you all so much. Please subscribe and like, and join me every week for a new tale, historic hauntings, New Orleans' rich history of ghost and true lore, and beyond. And I appreciate your time and bless you. Ashe. And until next time, au revoir.
Mm-hmm.